What's up, guys? Misha here from Beyond the Huddle, and welcome to this week's altcoin forecast. Now, as always, guys, we're gonna go ahead and take a look at the COT report, which is the Commitment of Traders report. Then we'll take a look at our SMI, and then finally we'll dive into the price action. But before we get started, guys, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up. We greatly appreciate that. And let's go ahead and get this video started. So first off, we're going to be taking a look at is the COT report for Ethereum. And as you guys can see, pretty sure you guys already noticed that there's been a massive change in the positioning of the asset managers, which is the group that we follow on a week-to-week basis. So this is the report as of March 29th of 2022. Obviously, tomorrow is Friday, so we'll get a new report Friday. But based on last Friday's report, we can see that the asset managers have actually increased their longs by 46 contracts, which is something that they had not done since October of last year. They've been sitting around zero for this entire time, right? And then they reduced their shorts by 106 contracts, meaning that they completely erased all their shorts. Now they hold no shorts. So they literally went from being 100% net short to being 100% net long. So this is a massive shift in sentiment, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at that on our trading view chart using our BTH indicator. And you guys can see here we have the percentage longs and shorts, and then we have the shorts here. And then once we're done with that, I'll show you guys what the longs look like. But you guys can see that we had been over 80% short this entire time. So throughout this entire drop here, we've been over 80% short, and we stayed at 100% short for a very long period until last week. We're finally up to 100% long. So we've had a massive flip in the positioning here. We can see that the shorts, they had gone below the average 2 weeks ago, and then last week they completely tanked to about zero. So we can see the last time this was happening right here, we can see that there was a massive rally in the market. So we could potentially expect something similar to happen. Now let's take a look at the longs right here. And you guys can see that the longs were below average. It stayed below the average. Ever since the high here, the longs have been below average. And now this is the first time that they've gone back above the average. Similarly, if we look at the last time that this has happened, this was about July right here. And you guys can see there's been a massive rally in the market once that happened. So we could potentially expect something similar to happen. And guys, this is not just for Ethereum. This is also for the altcoins in general. Because if I go here and I look at Total 2, and let's go back to all sources here, and I look at Total 2, which is the total market cap excluding Bitcoin. And you guys can see that the last time that this happened right here, where we saw the flip from being 100% short to now being longs, and the longs going above average, you can see we've had a massive rally of about, let's see right here, about 180%. So 180% rally the last time that we saw this signal right here on the COT report. So massive shift in sentiment here. But another thing, guys, this right here does not literally say, oh, let's go ahead and buy right now. There's other things, other factors that we have to take into account for us to get a good entry. Because as you guys can see, ever since this has happened, the market has been dropping, right? So this shows you this is not a timing tool. This does not mean buy me right now, but this gives us a bigger picture view from a smart money perspective that their sentiment has now switched from being bearish on this market to now being bullish. So we could potentially expect a longer term move to the upside, but that doesn't mean that the move starts right this second. So that's why we're going to go ahead and take a look at the SMI to kind of see what exactly is happening in the spot market. And then we'll go into the price action to kind of see what levels, what invalidation levels we could be looking at to potentially get the retracement right, and then be able to ride the next move to the upside. So with that being said, guys, now let's go ahead and take a look at the SMI. All right, guys, we're now looking at the SMI, which is our smart money sentiment indicator. Kind of shows us exactly what's happening on the spot market from an accumulation versus distribution perspective. So we have two different ones. We have the long term and the short term. We might be making some changes to that for people that want to be day traders. We might soon offer an SMI catered to day traders that's going to give you a lot more opportunities to be a buyer on an intraday basis. But going back to what this is showing us right now, we're looking at the long term sentiment, and we can see that throughout this entire time here, you don't really want to be a buyer, right? You wanted to be a buyer down here when we were green and blue. those are the times you want to be accumulating positions. And when you're red like this is not the time for you to be entering new positions. And I think Ralphie even mentioned that in the community chat recently, where he posted this picture right here, which was showing us a 90-day view of the SMI. And you can see that the perfect times to be buyers are when we're blue and green right here. And you do not want to be a buyer when you're red. Okay, when you're red, when you hit red right here, it's usually a high in the market. So that's why looking at the SMI, we can tell that, hey, although the bigger picture sentiment from the asset managers, the smart money, is telling us that we are bullish long term, the current environment on exchanges is not the right one for a rally. Okay, we're suggesting that we could potentially see a retracement, and that is exactly what we've been seeing. We've been seeing a retracement in the market. So right now we saw that the distribution has cooled off from the long-term perspective, but we're still not getting accumulation or even strong accumulation. Now looking at the shorter term SMI, we can see a similar thing where we had distribution during this entire move up here, and then we finally get the retracement. And by the way, guys, this is the Bitcoin price that is overlaid over the SMI. Okay, now we're finally getting accumulation right here on the shorter term, so that is a good thing. Okay, but I would rather want to see strong accumulation than just accumulation. Okay, so a couple things. First, we would want to see strong accumulation, and then second, we want to see continuous accumulation. Okay, because if I go back to the 90-day view, you guys can see how the accumulation was a continuous thing. It wasn't just 2 bars of accumulation and then back to neutral. We had very, very strong accumulations. We'd want to see something like this before we start looking for buying opportunities. So that's pretty much what we're seeing from an SMI perspective. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the price action. All right, guys, now welcome to the price action segment of the video. And first off, we're going to be looking at ETHBTC to kind of see where how ETH is moving compared to Bitcoin. Are we supposed to outperform BTC, or are we going to underperform BTC? So if you guys remember from the last video, we were very bullish on ETHBTC and also on ETH. Now ETHBTC did hit one of our targets, which was this weekly supply right here. Now if we drop down into our daily time frame, let's keep in mind that we have bounced off of the previous year's value area high, which is a very, very big deal, guys. This is telling us that this is very bullish. As long as we can stay above that level, we're expecting higher prices. So we hit this weekly supply here, and when we drop down into our 1 hour time frame and I look at my weekly profile, I can see that we have now gone back below the previous week's value area high, and we've actually used that as resistance. Okay, so we've broke below, uses resistance, and now we're kind of consolidating in that area. Now what does that tell me? Well, it tells me that there's a potential for us to continue to drop lower a little bit. So where could we potentially be dropping to? We could be dropping to this point of control right here at 0.0720. However, when I go back into a 4 hour and I look at my monthly profile, we could see that 0.0704, we have the previous month's value area high. So we're already above that level right now. So that's very, very bullish, but we could see a retracement down into that area. We would still be bullish even if price were to come down into this area. And even if we look at the quarterly, right, going to my 8 hour and I can see my quarterly profile, I can see right here, the quarterly value area high is at 0.0721. So very, very close to that previous week's POC. So that entire area right here is going to be a very strong area for a potential bounce back up to the upside. Now, once that happened, what would I be looking for? Well, I'll be looking for prices to go up into this area right here where we have this 3-day supply right there. So that's the area where I would expect price to go back into. Now, once we hit those support levels that I mentioned, how would I know that we are ready for the next leg to the upside? Well, I would be looking at my 3-day profile and my daily profile. So looking at the 3-day, we could see that we have tried to bear trend here, but we have been unable to do so. We've rejected every single time, and now we're back within value, which means that we're pretty much consolidating. Now there's a potential for us to start to rally from there, right? Because we've rejected the value area low. But let's go ahead and look at our daily time frame profile, right? So go to a 5-minute chart, and I can see my daily profile. And as you guys can see here, we are stuck within value. So in order for us to start to think about a move higher without first the retracement that we were talking about, we would need to see an extended move above this value area high right here, and then that would give us a better idea as to whether or not we're going to see that retracement. So if I look at maybe today's value area, we can see right now we're sitting at the current day's point of control right here. So the current day's point of control is right there, and that's where we're finding resistance right now. So the way I would be looking at this is I would want to see today close above that value area high, or maybe tomorrow go above today's value area high, and that would tell me, okay, we're very unlikely to see that retracement that we've been talking about, and we're just going to continue to the upside. But unless that happens, then I would expect a retracement down into the levels that we just mentioned, which is about 0.0704 to 0.0721, and then from there I would be looking for a reversal, right? And by reversal I mean for the flow to switch on the lower time frame, like I just showed you guys on the 3-day and on the daily. Okay, so that's what I'm looking at on ETHBTC. Now let's go ahead and take a look at ETHUSD. All right, guys, we're now looking at ETHUSD. And looking at that chart, it is a weekly time frame. We can see this week price has been down, and this is what I was saying about the COT report. Just because the sentiment from the asset managers is flipped bullish does not mean you're going to buy right away. You want the price and the SMI to confirm that we are likely to see higher prices, and at the moment that's not what we have seen yet. So we're looking at dips as buying opportunities because of how the COT is positioned. So right now we're looking at this weekly candle. We can see we've had a bearish candle here. And when we drop down into a daily time frame, we remember that we were above the previous year's value area high, which is a very, very important thing to keep in mind, meaning that we could very well see explosive prices to the upside. Now, we were looking for prices to, there's two things that we were looking for on Ethereum last week. Thing number one is we were looking for this 3-day supply to get hit right here. And as you guys can see, price came very, very, very close to that, but did not actually hit it. Second thing is, before we even got to this 3-day supply, we were expecting price to come down and retest the previous quarter's value high, which you guys can see we never actually did. And then we continued higher. But now that we're coming lower, there's a potential for us to hit this level right here. So already above the value high of the previous quarter. So that's very, very bullish. Now, when we drop down into a 4-hour and we look at the previous month value, we can see that we were almost at the previous month value area high. And that was another level that we've been paying very close attention to. That's one of the levels that we wanted to see get hit. But so far, prices have not gone to this area yet. So that is still something that we're looking for prices to get down into, especially since we have not seen the level of accumulation that we would like to see on the SMI. Okay, so we're looking at it from hourly perspective. Looking at the weekly profile, we can see that we're bear trending on the week. So that's definitely telling me that I should be expecting lower prices. So there's a high likelihood, as long as we stay bear trending on the week, that we could come down into this 3,000 area for the previous month value area high, or the 3,086, 85 area. So basically the 3,000 to 3,100 area. Right now we're at 3,200. So that's an area that we could be looking at prices coming down into. And then once we hit those levels, then we'll have to come down into a lower time frames, looking at the 3-day and also looking at the daily. You guys can see we're bear trending on the 3-day, again suggesting lower prices. However, when I go down into my daily, you guys can see we are within the previous day's value. So again, as long as we don't break above the previous day's value area high, I would still be expecting lower prices, just like I showed you guys on the ETHBTC chart, meaning that I'm still targeting the previous month's and the previous quarter's value area high. So let's go ahead and take a look at and see what today's value looks like. Look at that. Today's value looks very, very interesting. We're hanging around today's value area high. Okay, so it'll be interesting to see if we can close above that or maybe push above it tomorrow. If that happens, that'll be very interesting. We'll have to see what the SMI is showing us. But until something like that happens, I would not be looking to be a buyer. So again, we understand the bigger picture from the COT. It's very, very, very bullish. But we need the SMI and price to confirm that the next leg is underway. And right now, we're not getting that confirmation yet. So we'll be waiting for that before we start looking for buying opportunities. But things are looking very, very interesting. And you want to look at it this way, right? As we're getting this drop here, all this is doing is giving you an opportunity to buy at lower prices. So you don't want to FOMO into it. You don't want to try to pick the bottom, you want to get your confirmation and then ride the trend really nicely until you get into an area where you would expect prices to find resistance and the SMI to show distribution. So that's going to be it for today, guys. Hopefully you got some value from this video. If you did, give the video a thumbs up. And again, if you are interested in joining our Discord server, it's completely free. You guys can go ahead and click the link down below in the description. You can join. As you guys can see here, we have our community chat and we have the chart section where we're always posting different things and talking about the chart. So if you guys are interested in that, go ahead, check the link down below in the description, and I will see you guys in there. Peace.